3000.
My name's Maloney and this is the 3000 podcast. I'm joined today by a dude who's a prolific figure in the Melbourne skate and sort of, I'd say, street hip-hop culture scene. Jaff Curtis. Can I call you Jaff? Jaffa?
Yeah, man. Yep.
Thanks for coming, man. I really appreciate it. Dude, anyone who skated in the 90s, 2000s or followed skateboarding would know who you are. But if they didn't, how would you describe yourself? What would you say? How would you sum yourself up?
Well, at the moment, as a washed-up skater, I guess. But, yeah, like early, mid-90s, I'd say I was like a face of the Melbourne city scene, like the underground.
And there's no such thing as a
scene.
washed-up skater because skating, as long as you keep skating, you're never washed up. You just change how you skate, man.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I've seen in the blank video they posted the other day, you're still ripping, man. You're still getting some fucking high airs.
Yeah, I still got some stuff. Yeah,
You still got some stuff.
Yeah.
The knees are holding up and stuff.
Yeah.
So let's talk. We always start at the beginning. So where did you grow up? I know you grew up out west, but whereabouts specifically?
Yep. Well, I was born and raised in Footscray.
Nice.
Like, yep. And yeah, lived in Yarraville. And yeah, same as Jimmy, pretty much. Like Yarraville, Kingsville. That's where I grew up.
When I told Jimmy, or when he found out you're on today, he texted me, he goes, fuck, man, represent another Yarraville lad.
Yeah.
You know, he was proud. He was proud.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like,
So was I. I was
represent.
surprised. I'm surprised we never bumped into each other. You know, like
He's doing so well for himself and a great dude, busy guy. So
good.
I appreciate
Yeah.
him taking the time. But yeah, man, so you're representing Yarraville, and now there's a little skate park in Yarraville, but I'm tipping that wasn't there when you were rolling around.
Not at all.
Next
yeah,
to the
like,
footy oval there was that little one.
Yeah, yeah. Like I used to play footy there, like for the Yarraville boys. But yeah, all we had, and that was like maybe 91, was Spotty Vert Ramp, like in Spotswood.
And that's just when you go over. I lived in Port Melbourne, but we'd go over to go to fucking Altona Gate and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just on Millers Road there, or that?
No, on the Williamstown Road exit. Yeah, right.
So
at
when
the
you
exit.
turn in to go to Williamstown.
Yeah.
Man, and that
over the bridge.
That vert ramp was there, and it was. I don't think it was as big as Paran, but it had a bit of vert on it, a couple of foot.
Yeah, it had 1 3/4 foot, I think it was. And it was probably, maybe 12 foot high. Like, but yeah, good. It was a bit bigger than Paran, actually.
It was bigger?
Than the old ramp, yeah.
But
Yeah.
But now Paran's fucking
Oh,
high.
it's
isn't it?
nothing compared
so they
to the new
extended
ramp.
right. Okay,
Yeah,
right. There you
yeah.
go. So I'm getting my timelines confused. So there was a bit of vert there, and I guess, man, if you learn your fucking skills somewhere like that, when you go to somewhere that maybe has half of fucking a foot of transition, all of a sudden it feels like you're just rolling off a curb, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you honed your skills there.
Yeah, and like I learnt from the best, like, and when I mean the best like Lee Ralph.
Yep.
Like, yeah, when I first got into it, he was one of the first people I saw, like, killing the ramp, making it shake.
Yeah.
Like, scared the shit out of me how...
And he's still like an iconic figure.
Yeah, he's a king, he's a legend in our scene, like...
Because he's not a Kiwi, but he is a Kiwi.
Like, he's a Maori, He lives in New Zealand.
He lives in New Zealand now, and he's still got the Kiwi accent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thick. Yeah.
Thick, yeah. But he was here for a while, so obviously when you're skating...
Yeah, that was like, late 80s, early 90s.
Early 90s.
But people like him, Gary Valentine.
Yep. I remember
Chris
I
Payne,
had his pro model, Gary Valentine, the pro model board. I remember I had that one of him back in the day, man. Fuck, I think that was my first actual skateboard.
Was it? Yeah.
Well, while we're on that, what was your first actual skateboard?
I think it was a Blockhead.
Yeah. Right. And they sort of...
Like, I can't remember the skater, but the company was Blockhead. Yeah.
And they kind of disappeared, didn't they? Like when skateboarding became popular, they were gone by then, sort of thing.
Yeah. They were like, really early in it.
Early in it. So the Blockhead board, and that's like a single kick sort of thing. There's no...
It had a little bit of a double, like a nose on it, Yeah.
And you were like...
And then the next board I got was a blank, and that was, I don't know what that was cut off, but that had a massive nose on it, and...
So that's pushing more into the 90s stuff because the noses, what are we talking, like 92, 93, they're really starting to be bigger than the tail.
Yeah, almost even.
Yeah. And so that's like your popsicle shape that we still sort of have today.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, man, like I skated, but I obviously was never on a large level doing anything, being sponsored or anything. But I followed skateboarding, and like the shape of boards kind of evolved real quickly. Then they stopped in that 90s, and we've sort of been like stuck with that for a while. Now we're seeing a little bit of a resurgence of the old school boards, the single kicks, the white man. So in the mid 90s, everyone's what are they riding this 7-inch boards, 7.5. Now kids are riding 9-10-inch boards, man.
Yeah,
like that's fucking changed.
Fish-tailed, yeah.
But that's totally gone different. But we kind of got to that stage where in the 90s it was those popsicle shaped boards and fucking people were riding them. I guess they figured out that was good for street more so than the other ones, which were good for vert, because more street spots, more parks are popping up and that sort of thing. Or do you reckon that's just the evolution of how things fucking?
No, parks. And I guess I think the kids are liking the old school style, because I'm seeing kids with like shirts tucked in with big like rock and roll belt buckles, skating, like old school decks, and it's like, whoa, where'd that come from?
I know, man. Well, it's like the Baker dudes kind of pushed that rock and roll image for quite a while, but even that, man, if you think back, that was 20 years ago almost now.
Yeah, I know.
So everything's going full
it's
circle
a cycle,
again. It's a total cycle.
Yeah,
man.
like I'm riding a Zoo York at the moment, like,
So that's
8-inch double kick, like.
Are they helping you out with boards?
No. I just come across a few. So
yeah. So man, look,
just the shape I like still.
Yeah, and that how wide are we talking?
Like 8-inch. Yeah.
But when everyone was flipping their boards and in that sort of late 90s, you would have been a bit thinner than that. 7.75.
I think back.
That was
in the
like
day,
the standard. Everything was 7.75.
Yeah.
Because everyone wanted to flip their board and catch it, and then I think everyone wanted to fucking slash a bit more, and then they've gone for those bigger boards. 8 seems to be the smallest you'll find now.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty hard, isn't it?
It changes like that.
Skinny boards.
So you're skating. You're living in Yarraville. We'll start with your nickname. So where does your nickname Jaffa come from? And I'm presuming you like it, because there's not too many dudes that get their name. Like no one knew your name was Luke for ages. You were just Jaffa.
Yeah, heaps of people actually thought it was my first real name. Yeah.
So, and do you dig it?
Yeah, well, I had to dig it, man, because being a kid in the 90s, and I got that name at Spotty Vert Ramp by the older skaters, because I was wearing a red helmet and eating a packet of Jaffas. And they're like, oh my God,
you dug your own grave, man.
It's so un-PC these days, but that's how it happened, and they're like, fuck, check it out. He looks like a Jaffa. And
I guess if you look at the sort of the racial thing, but man, look, at any skate spot, you could have been eating a fucking polywaffle, and now we'd be introducing you as Polywaffle Curtis. So, do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take much to get a fucking nickname.
Yeah.
So I get,
and it just stuck.
And I think obviously you've got that sort of hip hop side to you as well. It's a cool word to write, man. It's got the
I didn't actually write it. Yeah,
I'm not saying you did, but I'm just when you've got a cool nickname, it helps when it looks good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm doing my notes today. I'm like, Jaffa's a pretty sick word.
Yeah, the problem with that, there was no way I could write it, because another old school writer had it. Yeah. But it's what everyone knew me as, so it was as bad as my first name, you know, so.
And then so when you started to, did you have to introduce yourself to people like, I am Luke? Or when you start getting sponsored and people start saying, you're on the team, we're going to do an ad with you, do you have to say, no, I don't want to be Jaffa? Or you didn't get a choice?
No, it just happened, But, I kind of liked it, because in a way, I think it kind of worked like how Draft was sort of rapping about the Jimmy Ricard, if his name was this and that, how his life would be, so much better. Yeah. It worked for me that way, because it was like a name that stuck in people's head. Someone would say it and they go, what?
It's good branding. It's good marketing.
It was branding, before.
Well, like my real name's Chris, your real name's Luke. They're real boring fucking names. You give somebody a cool name and people remember them.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess that's like, they did the branding for you, so it probably did help you, man. So aside from the skating, I touched on hip hop a little bit. So when did you find hip hop and realize that was also a big passion? I know in the 90s, hip hop was entwined with skating big time. I was into all that sort of shit.
Yeah, like I was into hip hop years before skating. Mm-hmm. Like I would have been 8, when I saw Beat Street, and I was just like addicted to just everything, like the breakdancing, the graph, like the rapping, the DJing, all of it. And like I was a breaker before a skater. And it was kind of weird when I started skating. Like I sort of got dragged in by older crew, like quite early, because I was like good at it. They were like, "I'll come with us," but they were all older punks because that's how the scene was.
Yeah, there was over that west side that was it was a bit.
Yeah,
punk,
it was just like like Dead Kennedys and all like punk skate rock,
Yeah.
And I hated it, but I've grown up to love it,
Yeah.
But
it's funny because like obviously skate and punk and skate and hip hop work so well together, but they're so different. You know what I mean? And that is it's a funny scenario. Like it would be not unusual in the 90s to see a bunch of punk kids with skateboards and then a bunch of hip hop heads with skateboards. It somehow spoke to both of them. Maybe it's just because it's fucking rebellious. I don't know.
Like I remember going skating and having mates go, "Fuck, are you gonna skate in them?" And they're like big Adidas with fat laces, and I'm like, "Yeah, man," and because this was before the Kareem Campbell days, before any kind of hip hop was involved, or
It's so and back in those days, I'm like, there's a ramp in the west. I'd be in the city. I'd go to this. I'd be on the other side of the bridge, go into the city, hit the flatlands, and there was a lot of punks hanging out there, man. Like they didn't even skate. Like that was just a hangout for them.
Yeah.
And then the skating kids there as well. So that would have been like I was probably a touch too young. Like I'm probably like 8 or 9. I'm not fucking going in there. Like, but I'd look from Flinders Street Station.
Yeah.
It must have been a pretty wild place to be hanging out back then, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was. It was like it was smooth, and.
Not like the sale yards. That's a rough fucking joint, man.
This was like almost marble surface, so
awesome.
Popping ollies off it were easy, and like the green benches, they were real high, but because the surface was so good, you could do tricks over them, and your board would stay fresh for ages,
Yeah, and
it was central, so
it doesn't get any fucking more central than
and we didn't get kicked out of there.
That was the thing, yeah. And it's amazing to think now, like what that is there. Like obviously. What's it called? Fucking Fed Square. That's cool because there's a lot of art exhibitions and that sort of thing. But man, to think what it was just like a pad of nothing with crew hanging out there, drinking, skating, smoking, whatever.
Yeah,
it's
it was
bizarre.
the down ramp to Flinders Street. That's and it went to like the Sandringham and Williamstown line platforms.
So so I was on the Sandy line. So that 12 and 13 was that one there. Yeah. And look, like I said, I was too young for that. But then I was sort of old enough. I'm hitting high school by the time the sale yards popped up, and that's got to be something that was you guys were stoked on, like to have an actual proper place where you'll never get kicked out. Must be like a fucking home away from home. You know what I mean?
Oh, it was. Yeah. And it definitely was.
And once they approved that, and then you just, like, again, it's just down the road. It's a central spot. You can go there. You could go there at any time. You could find some friends, find some crew. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it was like a fucking hangout spot. And the YMCA dudes were there, but from my memory, it's like it was a bit of the Lord of the Flies, like the fucking, the kids leading the kids, you know what I mean? But they let everyone stay.
I can proudly say we gave them jobs there.
Yeah.
Like, because we were at the sale yards like 2 summers before there were YMCA.
Really?
Like, so it was lawless for 2 summers, the first, and that was just because, there was no rooftop at that point. They'd knocked it down for Fed Square, and we needed somewhere, and it all sort of just happened.
It all fell in place. It's funny to think now, even 20 years later, that they would give kids a spot in the middle of the fucking city like that.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
Bananas. Like, if you think about how much that real estate was worth, and it was probably driving down businesses around because kids are fucking up so much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was the offices around it and stuff. People were like, "Oh man, do you have to let these kids skate here?"
Yeah. But what was crazy though, it was actually the opposite of that. Like, all the people from the offices, when we started skating it and sort of localizing it and made it busy, they started coming in and having lunch on the grass, and watching us, and they were like, this is, they used to say, I remember having conversation, probably trying to pick up chicks, But they were like, oh, it's heaps better now that you're here. It feels safer coming in, you know, like.
It does. Until someone yells at them, fuck off your suit, which I did see a few
times.
Oh,
yeah.
That would happen a bit. But, like, man, the sale yards was sick. And I think also another part about that which made it so cool from a skate park perspective and totally different to what we see now is it wasn't a concrete park. Everything was modular. You could kind of come up with something, or kids would move stuff like, let's move this bench. We'll put a kicker here. I wasn't good enough to fucking grind the top of a bench, but we had this little kicker. Then you put a kicker on something else. Like, you could move shit around. Like, it was like your own sort of private little skate park, and no one had ever fucking questioned it.
Yeah, well, that's how it started. It started with Surf, Dive and Ski. They had a comp there. And they just used wooden ramps, like portable sort of street setup. And after it, we convinced them to leave a couple of the kickers and a flat bar.
Yep.
And
that was the original flat bar that was there?
No. That came later. Yeah, but this stuff, we just skated for about maybe 4 months, and used to hide it behind the big, because they had the big square planter boxes.
Yeah.
That they have in the city, the big green ones, and we just sit it behind that each night, and they never took it away, you know, and it got that popular, and I'm pretty sure they built the sale yards how they built it, like shitty modular ramps, because that's what they had there, and they were like, you know, they were clueless at that time how a park was built, because no city council had ever built a park.
No.
And so that's I'm pretty sure that's why it was built like that, because that was all they had to go off. Like,
but even when they did make it officially a fucking park, they kind of was not really that much foresight into it either. Like, it had that sort of, you know, that inner fence that was sort of in there where you ended up, like, you've done some fucking airs off that bank over there.
Yeah, kickied it.
The kickied it, and I think you did like a backside 180 as well over there. But that fence on the intern, like, that sort of served no purpose. And then the stairs were behind there, which is kind of like, if you build a skate park now, you'd use the stairs, wouldn't you? But they didn't. They didn't seem to. That was just like a fucking hangout at the stairs there.
Yeah.
And I think like you had to earn your stripes to sit there a little bit at the stairs.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe. Like,
I think
like, I guess so. You know, it was just like, if you were known enough, you know,
But so there, obviously it was a welcoming place, but you'd get some, and I remember being there and just like dudes would be like nodding out, like, you know, older than we're kids. Yeah. Like, they'd come in there, like, you'd see some pretty fucking messed up characters, man. Yeah. But the place like that was kind of self-regulating. Like, obviously the YMCA dudes are there, but people would let them know, and kind of like that sort of, the riffraff got kicked out pretty quickly.
Oh, it was very self-regulating, like, because and before the YMCA, like, it was like, it was ours, so we had to protect it, and like, all we wanted was somewhere to hang, really, and not get hassled, you know, like, that's all we sort of wanted.
Yeah.
And so when like people come in and made the spot hot, it's not what we were down for, you know, so...
Totally, and it's just fucking stupid. It's like, don't shit where you eat, man.
Exactly,
like, I remember, this is probably the later days of the sale yards, but there was that mini at the back there, and I used to skate that all the time. Then some dumb cunt burn it down. You're like, what are you doing, man? Like, what? Why would you ruin something that we've, like, we've been pushing for? That's fucking... Yeah, man, that's... definitely something that I think will never be recreated, and obviously when they moved it, you just... It's like... that old saying, you could, like, your old favorite pub could burn down, but they can't rebuild it. You know what I mean? Like, they can move that there, like, to Riverslide, but it doesn't. I'm sure kids these days.
It's a completely different city, you know. Like, and like, for example, that flat bar you're talking about, like, we took that down from the gates of the sale yards because it was like a 50 by 50, like, you remember it, like perfect, metal bar. Mm-hmm. But what it was, there was two of them on each pillar of the gates, and they must have put signs across it or something. But I remember my mate Rico had his truck, you know, board on it, going, "Oh man, it's perfect."
Yeah.
He got a skate tool, and the tool fit the nut.
Yeah, right.
So we're like, we've unbolted it, and we had people on backs, you know, holding it up, pulled it down, and that's why it had two feet at one end, and the other end was just up in the air, and we had to put bricks at the start, you know, and like.
And then from memory, that got raised up, didn't they? Like,
they built it in. The
built
council, actually like added another leg,
and then they welded it in.
Yeah.
There you go, man. And that's fucking.
And like, can you imagine that on Swanson Street, seeing 10 skater kids, you know, pulling down a big metal bar? Like,
it's amazing, but it's DIY skating, and they wouldn't approve that shit now. They'd be like, you have to send this to council. You got to get 75 emails and signatures and stuff. Yeah. And you were just ripping shit out with a skate key and fucking putting it there, man. I just can't see that happening anymore, like at all.
Oh, no way.
Well, obviously you were into skating before it went really popular, because towards the end of the 90s it gets fucking real popular. Like, I think Tony Hawk Pro Skater comes out, which then makes all kids that don't even skate like fucking skating. So did you remember that time and like seeing a fucking resurgence, and now there's a lot of kids in there with skateboards, there's a lot of kids in the way, but I guess it's good for the fucking industry as a whole. Oh
yeah, that's when my life changed. Like, that's when I was living off skating, and
so you can't,
waking up and skating each day and traveling heaps.
And people start to say to you, oh, you're a skateboarder, rather than like, oh, you're a skateboarder.
Yeah, exactly. Way more accepted.
It's like, it's kind of legitimized that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then skating is all over the place. Like, remember, my mate brought this up with me yesterday. Remember on Channel 31, To Air is Human? Like, that was like on free-to-air TV.
Yeah.
Like, this is like the internet's just kind of there. And you could watch people skating, and that was a fucking a sick little show for free that we could watch. And then 411, all that kind of shit. And then it starts to become more popular. And like I said, Tony Hawk, really, it's that game really.
Yeah,
everyone's.
That put it. In everyone's house.
Exactly. And everyone's there. But man, some of the skate shops, like, I still reminisce about them. Like, obviously, when it rained, you could go over to SMC, skate the mini there. Or it wasn't even a mini; it was a decent ramp.
Yeah.
That was sick. And man, I've been trying to find out who it is. But do you remember there was a record store at the bottom of the stairs?
Yeah, that was Dexter.
It was Dex?
Yeah.
Because someone told me it was, and I reached out to him, and I talked to Dex every now and then. I didn't ask him about that, but I thought it was.
Yeah, when you were saying you remembered someone playing records at the sale yards, I'm pretty sure that would have been Dexter.
Dex too.
Yeah.
And man, it's such a spin out, because back then we'd hear music that we liked.
Yeah, not that.
Oh, yeah, but you couldn't, like, we were fed the music we were fed. If you didn't have an older brother or sister or someone cool to give you some fucking heads up, this is the kind of music you'd like, this is cool, we couldn't find it, man. So to go and see that there, and to get your hands on some fucking, like, tunes that you'd just never find in any other mainstream place was so fucking sick, man.
Yeah, right.
And
see, I got my music from like DJ Chrissy from Stepping in the AM, you know, or Stepping to the AM, like.
And she was a big record collector.
And she had the dopest shit every week, and it's still stuff I listen to today, you know, like.
And she's a big advocate for the whole hip hop thing. She was a breaker,
super queen, you know,
And now I think she's doing the yoga thing.
Yeah,
I think she's up north doing all that sort of stuff, man. But like, what about not just SMC, but there was a store that, again, would never exist now. Melbourne Surf, man. Remember, what a fucking spin out that joint was. You buy secondhand shoes.
Tony and I think it was Leanne was the lady,
You buy secondhand boards, secondhand shoes. Like, you know, you may not have enough money, but you've got $20 because you've put your lunch money together for the fucking last 2 weeks, and you can buy a banged up board.
Yeah.
But man, that's where I first bought my first couple of blank hoodies and blank T-shirts there.
Yeah, they stocked up large.
They did. They had the whole range, man.
Yeah.
But that again is another place you're like, fuck, what a spin out of a joint. Like, imagine that joint now. Like, it just wouldn't exist.
Yeah, I know. It looks like a surplus back room or something, doesn't it? Yeah.
Or a surf store in the city just didn't quite make sense. And then also, man, Cheapskates, or what was it previously? Substance, when you go downstairs there, they'd let crew just hang out and watch skate videos. Like, that's just the kind of shit that just doesn't happen anymore, man.
Yeah. And also just touching on that Melbourne Surf, that old guy Tony, I'm pretty sure he won the very first Bells Beach surfing pro tour. Or
really?
Might not have been the pro tour, but something at Bells Beach that put him on the map.
Really?
And that was his claim to fame. And he's like he used to be like a grumpy, old surfer, you know, like.
But what an unusual place to have a surf shop. Like,
Yeah, I know.
he's lucky that skating kicked off because you weren't selling too many fucking secondhand wetsuits there at Tivoli
I know.
Arcade. You know
Yeah, I
what
know. It was a dark arcade, wasn't it?
It
yeah.
was, man. But you'd come out and walk down to Swanston Street there. There was that kind of cool stair set, that long stair set.
Yeah,
And there was that
That
sort
was
of
the
big
old City Square like spot.
yeah. And that was also before the sale yards and after the flatlands. That kind of was a bit of a hangout there as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. A massive hangout actually. Like that's where I met a lot of the like city crew, and it's where we all sort of met. Yeah, it's where I met Tomo, like Tommy G.
Yep.
Like Luke, like Tusk 2, New Rock, and all them. And
they're all
all the crew, Bonesy. Like that's where we all sort of met.
And that's like
And
everyone's
just
from
started
different
hanging
parts
out.
of town, and you're in a central spot, so it's cool to meet people who have a fucking into the same sort of shit.
Yeah. I remember, man, one day, this is how different the city is. I remember a day sitting there with Tomo and a few other dudes chopping a mix in the big 3 square like pit at the city square, and it was cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was cool. Some people just skating the ledges, and it's like,
Yeah. It's like your
It was
version
no
of Love
thing.
Park type thing. For
it kind of was, yeah. Like,
And you're seeing
and
that.
you just try to imagine that these days. It's like, no way. Like, yeah.
It's not happening. Well, what about other like iconic skate spots in Melbourne? Obviously, Parliament stair set, that's a big one. What are your favourite spots around Melbourne? Like,
Man, I'm not sure. Maybe like Country Road, I guess was
that was
yeah,
a big
one
because
of
it
my
was
favourite.
so hidden away, and you'd never get kicked
Yeah,
out there, would you?
Yeah, and it was all smooth around there, and yeah,
Totally. And then, man, St Kilda Road was like its own sort of little skate thing for a while before everything got like knobbed and everything, man.
Yeah.
That was like a whole thing as well. Like,
yeah, it was like there was time early '90s. You could spend the whole day skating it, and you wouldn't get bored. There were that many ledges, kickers.
then they started knobbing everything, though, didn't they? That's when it really sort of, they put a bit of a fucking halt to all that sort of stuff, man. What with the sale yards, like, obviously we touched on the staff, but there's a dude there, VB, man. I've got to ask about VB, man. He was a good dude.
Oh, he's a great dude. He's one of my best mates. You know, like
Still to this day.
yeah, still to this day.
From the sale yards.
Oh no, like years before the sale yards.
Right.
Like he's like out west crew. Sort of I've known since, man, I would have been about 13, I think. You know, and like he's done so much for me over the years. You know, like just like taking like and a lot about like West Side skaters I know. He used to take us on road trips to Sydney.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like we were kids that like we weren't working, and he was always working and a bit older. So he'd end up shouting most of the stuff, you know, like we'd have like $30 for like a week trip, you know, but man, he's done so much and
Good heart.
Massive heart. Like,
Is he still drinking the VBs?
no, he hasn't in a while. Yeah.
Right. But does he still call himself the VB, man?
People still call him that. Yeah. You know,
But
like
his name's his name's Tom,
he's
isn't it?
doing really well. Yeah. Tom Flaherty. Yeah.
Tom Flaherty, and I think he has a hand in building a lot of skate parks.
Oh,
now.
he is the man in building a lot of skate parks. Like
Yeah.
I just helped him finish the Globe Bowl they've got in the warehouse.
Oh, sick.
For-
Because they had a big wooden sort of...
Yeah, like me and Flaz and a couple other dudes built
nice.
that, like
Yeah,
from the
sick.
beginning. So
Man, that was awesome there, yeah.
Yeah, and the Ring of Fire. I don't know if you ever saw that.
No,
It
oh,
was like in Tottenham, above the go-kart centre.
oh, no, I haven't I have to check that
Yeah,
out.
it's I don't even know if it's open anymore. But
Yeah.
it's like a bowl with a vert wall that went to the roof,
Fuck yeah.
and it had like a swimming pool coping tile
Yeah.
sort of corners on it. Yeah.
So it's awesome to see that
And the vert ramp at the park, you know, in Geelong.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Flaz built that.
Built that.
Like,
Yeah,
he's
amazing,
the man, you know, like.
that he can turn his passion into like a fucking lifelong body of work to make skate parks.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And what
He's world renowned for
Yeah.
his skills. Like,
and what a place to come. Like, he's come from the sale yards, which had some primitive fucking stuff, and now he's like, I can make, what do you want? We can fucking sort it out.
He didn't even really like do much, haven't that much to do with the sale yards. Like he's sort of.
But he was there as like a YMCA dude for a while. Wasn't he?
Yeah. He was
definitely there.
Yeah.
He was there, but yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah,
that's what I remember him from in the early days. Yeah, man. Oh, grab some water, man. Grab some water. One thing I always remember about the sale yards and being a guy who was a bit younger, was that you could always, if you had $20 or $30, you could probably get yourself some product. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, always.
Like, you'd be there,
I loved it for that reason. Yeah,
and so that's the thing. So when you're trying to make some money, and it's hard for, you know, I'm a young kid. I'm looking up to you guys. You've fucking got all this fucking fly fresh stuff on you. Like, I've got new decks and all that stuff. But you're not making that much money. You know what I mean? You still got to grind it out.
Yeah.
So it'd be sweet. I'd be there.
The hustle was on.
Yeah, someone would just come in, open a bag. Like, I'm going away. What do you guys want? And you could bargain with them. $20 might get you 2 tees. That in a retail shop, that'd be $40 each.
Yeah.
But that must have been a way that you guys who were sponsored, and even though it's like you're not supposed to be, you got to make a little bit extra coin.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Like, at that stage, I was getting 15 pair of shoes from Globe, you know.
15
a month, man.
Fuck,
you know what I mean? And travel budget and, you know, all other money. So it's like, fuck, what am I going to do, you know, with 15? And I'd give, like, my crew, you know, shoes, and then I'd still have 10 pair. And I'd use, you know, I'd only use 1 pair for as long as I could, because I hate new shoes, you know, like skating, wearing in shoes and shit.
You got to wear in your shoes. And the thing is, man, I think, like, Globe, when they came out like that, they really went no expense spared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like they got Rodney Mullen on, Chet Thomas, and all this sort of stuff, and they're like, just fuck it. You know what I mean? So they were just like, they wanted to make a big splash, and by giving you 15 pairs.
Yeah,
all of a sudden,
we
15
were all getting that. Yeah, you know, most of us on it. Yeah,
that's bananas, man.
And as many t-shirts, hoodies, hats, all, you know, all that sort of stuff.
But when you think about it, it's almost like a guerrilla marketing perspective. If you've got kids at the park that look up to you, you give it to your crew. It trickles down, then they sell it.
It works. It works for them so good. You know, I just throw a kid a t-shirt.
Yeah,
and it's like, you know, he loves the product. You know, and it's easy come, easy go for me. So.
Yeah. And so with Globe, was it just shoes, or you were getting, like, obviously you were getting other products, but then Blank comes along, and that's probably something that's more in tune with what you're about?
Yeah, no, I was on Blank first.
Yep.
Yeah, and they kind of, like, they set the standard for who I wanted to ride for, because, like, Raph and Danny, man, like, they just hit me with so much love at the start, you know, and they're like, yep, we want you on, you know, like, yeah, come back to the house. Like, it was after a contest at Cranbourne. Yeah. And they're like, oh, come back to the house.
At the shed?
Yeah, the comp was, at the shed, yep.
Yeah. And they're just like showing you what they're doing.
You know, they're like, yeah, we want to sponsor you. And I came back to their house, man, and it was like the Blank house, and it was where Danny was living. And there was just boxes and boxes of hoodies and jeans and hats, and in the middle, a brake mat. And I'm like, really? What the fuck? You know, I walk in going, what? Whose is this? And Danny's like, oh, it's mine. I've been breaking. I'm like, mad. I go, you know, I'm breaking. Like, I love it. You know, did a windmill. He did one. And I was like, I'm at home, you know, and they're just like, here, bro, you know.
And it's an independent label. Like, I guess from like, you know, when you get into the bigger brands, you're more of a number, you know. But you feel like that would feel like you're more of a family. Yeah.
Like, it is family. Like, I still rep them to the day. You know, it's like
that, man. And it's sick. And Blank's come back again after a bit of a hiatus. Yeah. But like we were saying before, everything goes full circle now.
Yeah, it's 20 years on. Yeah, that's why they're coming back. It's anniversaries.
I see kids out that are like 19 years old and they're wearing it, and it just reminds me of when I was that age, you know, wearing that stuff. And it's cool to know that not everything fucking goes out of fashion. Or if it does, it comes back. Yeah. Which is dope as, you know what I mean?
What's cool to me, man, is like crew like Morns hitting me up saying, bro, Blank was like money back in the day, you know, to high school. And it's just like, man, that's sick, you know, like.
It was. Like, I think if you were, and it sounds so silly now because kids want so much, but if I was 15... if I had a Blank belt and a Blank hoodie, I was fucking good to go. Like, you wouldn't even really worry about your shoe. Yeah. Like, you wanted some cool shoes, but the Blank belt and the Blank hoodie, and that was you were steezed up. That's all you wanted. But now kids want all this fucking designer shit, man.
Yeah.
But that was the uniform for anyone who skated in Melbourne for quite a while.
Yeah.
and like who's got this hoodie, who's got that one.
Did you know it actually ended up getting bootlegged and sold at the markets?
Really?
Yeah, man, it got that big, like in Melbourne at the Queen Vic.
I remember being at. I
They were
never
like
saw
bootleg
Blank there.
Blank stuff. Yeah,
Remember the Juice hoodies? I saw them at the Queen Vic Market.
Yeah,
And that was, I think they're a brand from Sydney.
yeah.
And I remember seeing that, and I'm like, fuck, man. When you're like, that's probably the most disrespectful form of flattery, though. Like, you're
totally.
cool
Yeah.
that people are
Fuck
fucking jumping on your shit. Yeah,
I remember hearing that and just thinking, what? You know, like,
well, that's when you
crazy.
know skate culture has really gone, to that level.
Yeah, they were seeing us.
Yeah, well, that's it, man. But and then, Sydney were doing their own thing there with Juice. I think Chima was on Juice. I think a few of those dudes.
Guy Miller, like his company, like Skunk. You know, Morgan Campbell.
Yep.
Ty Coling, like. Juice had a sick team. Yeah. All rulers too.
Did you used to go up and skate there much?
Been to Sydney, heaps, you know, like.
From a skating perspective, it is probably a better city just because it's not as flat as Melbourne.
Yeah.
And you like to jump downstairs.
Bigger.
Yeah, man. Like, it must be cool like that. Like, the stair sets that we have here, there's a few of them, but in Sydney, they're fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Did you dig that when you went up there, man?
Yeah, I did. Like, I liked, you know, like all their spots are rad, you know, like, and it's crazy. I just loved how spread out everything is, but it must suck for their locals, you know, like trying to connect, you know, is like heaps bigger mission than it is in Melbourne.
Well, was it the Pit? Was there a place that they used to hang out?
Yeah, in Martin Place. Yeah.
Is that still there?
I think so, yeah.
They've still got that.
Yeah. It's a bit different, but I think
when you're making money and you're in the, let's say your prime of your fucking skating career, is there pressure to go to the US? Because a lot of people are like, that's where you've got to go if you really want to make it big. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There was a little bit, but I won a contest, like a Vans Warped Tour, and the first prize was a trip to the States for the amateur, like, sort of world, like thing. It was kind of like a Tampa Am thing, but like before that, and when I won that. My dad was sick with cancer, and this was like a long trip, you know. They were like, you sort of can't just fly in, fly out. You sort of got to make a presence, you know.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh fuck, I can't do it, you know. And it was a blessing in a way, because it kind of made me think, fuck, man, why do I have to go to America to ride a skateboard, you know? Like, yeah, you know, like and it kind of gave me heaps more motivation to just do what I could on a board, you know, to get money, like, and so it created heaps of demos and just and
I guess that's probably the timing's right for you to not go, because there is more of a scene here at that stage as well.
And it was all changing. That was another thing, you know.
Skate parks are popping up, kids are playing Tony Hawk, like, cunts are fucking with skateboarding more than they ever were.
And I had my crew, and I was I was more of a crew thing, you know, in the city, like, because that's how it all began at you know, the City Square days with Bonesy and all them. We were just friends hanging out, you know, and that was and we're just lucky enough that we all got good, you know, and managed
to but I guess
sort of make money off it. I
think about that as an outsider looking in from the skate scene, when dudes jump on different companies and that sort of thing in America. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like, how do they, just because you've got the same board brand, does that mean you're going to fit in with them? Are you going to want to be in a van with them? Are you going to want to hang out with them? Like, and back then, man, you might have been that weird Aussie dude that came over there and you didn't fit in with the whole crew.
Exactly.
Like, but you know that you had your crew here and it wasn't worth it.
And that's what worked with Blank as well. We're all still brothers, you know what I mean? And it's like, we're more of a crew than a company, and it's always been that way, always will be. Man. You know what I mean? We're a bunch of dirtbags.
But that's
what we do, you know.
But like, props to you for staying true, man, because a lot of people probably would have gone and chased that money and tried to fucking, you know, jump in the van with some dudes that they don't get along with. But you knew that this is where you're from, and like, obviously you're a passionate Melburnian, and you're like, I don't want to miss your family and stuff, but like, you knew that you can sort of make it here, which is sweet. And now with the internet, kids can do it more. But back then, that was tough. You were sort of off the radar unless you were over there.
Yeah.
fucking.
And I was lucky enough to get hooked up by Deluxe Distribution over in the States. So that was like stereo or reel boards, Spitfire wheels, Thunder trucks, and like through Globe, I got onto them direct. And
so they're sending you boxes direct from the US.
Yeah. So that was grouse. That was like boxes of 10 boards would come with like heaps of like zip up Spitty hoodies and
those Spitfire hoodies were hot property too.
Yeah, I know.
Man.
Yeah.
And back then, and Stereo was such a cool label because obviously Jason Lee was involved, but they had that sort of old R&B graphic sort of vibe, which was totally different to what most other brands were doing with the more sort of rock and roll stuff before it went down that kind of hip hop vibe.
Like I loved it, their graphics, like the old the stereo record. Like sticker graphic, like,
and the logo was what you put in the middle of the 45, that kind of thing. And they had the two arrows, which I think is on a lot of records. When
like the tape deck. That's the tape deck sort of symbol. Yeah,
the stereo wide,
like fast forward, rewind. Stereo wide. Yeah,
that's the whole thing. And then I think Chocolate went along and they kind of did that similar sort of graphical vibe with those guys as well. But it was different back then though to what everyone else was doing. And it's a cool brand to be on. Yeah, was there any talk about going pro for those guys?
Not really. Like they were always sort of like to do it big, you've got to come over.
Yeah, again,
But I was happy like staying here skating with my friends, like
and I'm tipping because you say the Blank guys are so cool, but they weren't phased that you were sort of getting boards from these dudes or anything like that.
Because
they were strictly clothing.
Basically.
They did do boards for a while.
They did have boards.
But I
like
guess they're such
boards.
chill dudes. They must have been like, look, man, if you've got this opportunity.
They were all for it. They helped me edit videos to send
amazing
direct to them. And which got me on directly. And like Raph put together like a little sponsor me tape, like of my footage unseen, all my best stuff.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
And that's I'm imagining in that industry you'd get a lot of dudes who might be like, no, you're with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's actually there physically trying to help you level up, which is like, fucking awesome.
Raph's opened so many doors for me, and for everyone. He does it. It's just him, he generates movement for people and energy, and I'm like blessed to know him, how I do, and how long I
don't personally know him, but from all reports, everyone speaks extremely highly of him. Be a dude I'd love to get on the podcast at one stage.
Man.
What about, aside from the skating stuff, obviously the hip hop thing, I see on your Instagram you're doing a lot of juggling, a lot of cutting, a lot of scratching. Obviously that's just something that it just is within you.
Since I've been 8, I've just wanted to do what they did on Beat Street, and
it's so funny that thing is just like the pinnacle, and you're just like, man, that one thing showed you that was out there.
What's crazy, before I was on Blank, like Tom, the VB man, he used to film us like, skating all the time. And I actually edited like all my best footage with like a music scene from Beat Street, so it would go to a trick to like the dudes rapping back to a trick, and I gave that to Blank, like, maybe the third time I'd been back at the house, and said, this is just like a tape of some of my footage, and that's rad. They loved it. They're just like, yeah, man, like bits of Beat Street mixed in.
And back then with skate videos, the legalities weren't really there. People would use music and stuff like that. Because the tapes were essentially bootlegged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like so many fucking sick songs in old skate videos that when you watch them on YouTube, they're not there. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Because they just can't get clear.
Yeah.
But man, there was some awesome, and back then, man, you get a VHS passed around, and your mate would have it and be dubbed, and that's I found some hip hop music that I didn't know existed on some of those videotapes.
Yeah, man, like all the 411s, like they used like the up and coming coming groups, you know, like all hieroglyphics and all that. They were first on 411s, you know, and like Razel.
The first time I ever heard Nas was on 411.
Was yeah.
So like, you know, and then other dudes got cottoned on then, and that's when skating really merged with hip hop a lot more because people were sponsoring. There'd be ads, like hip hop ads on 411s.
Yeah.
And so there was no punk rock ads on 411.
Yeah.
And that really was taking it down that other path. And that, I guess, for you must have been like, fuck, man, I've been doing this shit for a while.
Man, and that's the beauty of it. Like, that's right when I was getting good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already dressed how everyone wanted to dress. Like, because I've been wearing hoodies since I was 8, man, you know, like, and baggy clothes and just, I wanted to look like a B-boy, you know,
and then skating and that sort of hip hop culture comes together.
Yeah, I remember getting bagged for wearing like baggy pants and a polo shirt, skating with my mates and punk mates, and 10 years down the track, you know, it's like
that's the norm.
Look at everyone,
yeah. Well, then Kareem Campbell sort of bust the door open for all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and then you've got like Musker, who then comes out as like the blonde white guy, and he's doing all that shit as well with the boombox and all that stuff, and I'm like 14, 15, I'm like, that's fucking sick. And then he's making beats as well. And then all of a sudden, every fucking skate video, 411, there's a hip hop track, which just makes it, to me, a kid who loved hip hop, like all of a sudden cooler again. And that's where it fucking, but you're like, I've been telling you these guys, man, you're late to this game.
Yeah,
like,
man.
I've been telling you. Yeah. And there's something about listening to hip hop and sort of cruising around, ollieing, doing some little flat ground tricks that just feels, I don't know, man. It just
It's like hip hop's the sound of the streets, and skating is the sport of the streets. You know, it's like they go hand in hand beautifully. Like,
I think if you're slashing around a bowl or like a mini, if you're at fucking somewhere then I think something a little bit heavier is cool. But I think if you're just cruising around flat ground doing a little, like that sort of stuff just sounds fucking spot on.
Yeah.
And then like you had a lot of, not just Musker, but there was dudes who were sort of making music, trying to make music, get into that hip hop thing as well. But naturally you were already doing it. So you're already DJing and doing that sort of stuff as well, like at parties and shit like that.
No, like I had turntables like younger, but they were like just a real ghetto sort of setup. And I'm stupid. Like I regret it so bad, but got rid of all that shit and sold the records I had as well at that time. Which like old school shit, like Schoolie D shit, like stuff I'm spewing, you know.
Yeah. You don't even look at Discords now to see what it'd be.
Yeah, I know. God, it breaks my heart. Yeah, like I'm such an idiot, you know, for doing that.
But no, you don't know, man. You're living like, you know, like you did. Oh, well, that's yesterday's news. You know what I mean? I guess you're not thinking that far down the track.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like imagine holding on to every fucking pair of skate shoes that Globe gave you for 50. You know what I mean? You just don't think like that.
Yeah.
Man, but yeah, playing records is definitely something that is synonymous with. Well, I remember from skating at the skate park because, like, on a Sunday or there'd be a comp on or someone would be DJing and you just hear some fucking new music. And that was like a whole fucking thing. When you'd go there, it wasn't just to skateboard. It was like you were getting a fucking lesson in culture. Whether it's dressing, graffiti, you know, all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
It was fucking sick, man.
Yeah, mad.
It was, And every time I'd be there, I'd see something different and be like, because we didn't have the internet.
Yeah,
so
true.
Where do you see this stuff?
It was like that now. Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, like you
would see people say, "Check it out."
Like Like I remember seeing like some dudes from the Blank crew, and they obviously were getting flowed stuff, but they'd have their hat matching their shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And that you see
matching
that,
the
like,
kicks.
Oh yeah, and you're like, oh, hang on a second. Yeah, this is because we didn't have the internet. You couldn't look on someone's TikTok page and see what they're fucking wearing. You have to go there and fucking check it out. So while we're still talking about hip hop, your personal opinion, who do you think is the greatest rapper of all time? Like, it's a tough question.
Yeah. See, well, like personally, I think my favorite, my favorite is Drez from Black Sheep. Like,
and they were obviously a group. But he stood out to you.
Yeah, and he still raps these days. Like, and I just love his flow. You know, like. But I grew up on a lot of like KRS, like Boogie Down Productions. You know. Yeah, like. But yeah, I think personally, Drez is my, he's my man to listen to.
And what about greatest Aussie rapper of all time?
Greatest Aussie rapper?
I don't want you to upset anybody.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Like, man, like there's like Brad, like love his shit, and just known him for that. I've known him before he was like known for rapping, and now seeing him, and I just feel proud, like, and he's killed it. He's kept it true to his style, and yeah, but man, like I love heaps of crew like Delta, Delta, man, shouts to Delta, but he teaches me a lot.
Yep. Through
his music, you know what I mean? Like, and especially just dealing with a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Delta's sort of, I play his shit, and it's like slaps me back to reality. And it's like, yeah, man. Yep. Yeah.
Well, while we're talking about that, is there any sort of personal stuff that you want to chat about, that you want to talk about? You've been through some fucking heavy shit, man, like a lot of people.
I probably, be good too, yeah.
Like, but, I don't want to say anything that I don't want to...
Yeah, no, feel free, man,
you mentioned early with your dad had cancer. It seems to be something that's been fucking hanging around for you personally.
Yeah.
And man, look, it's a kind of a thing. But how do you manage dealing with that? You've had it yourself.
Yep. Yeah. Bowel cancer. Yeah, I was diagnosed with bowel cancer at like just when the COVID restrictions hit. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I thought it was, I was having pain from arthritis because I was getting sore bones, and
from jumping downstairs and
that's
shit.
What I thought, I was getting old, my bones are hurting. So, I kind of just let it go for ages, but, my partner, Brooke at the time, she's like, no, you're looking skinny, and I'm like, no, it's all good. It's all good. And then I'd have really bad days where I couldn't hold a cup of coffee, and I'm like, fuck, this is not good, And
you couldn't even go to a doctor really then, could you, in that lockdown sort of
period? Like the lockdowns hadn't started when this was happening. Like, just when I had surgery is when the lockdowns kicked in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sort of, I kept brushing it off. And my girl, my partner Brooke at the time, was just like kept bugging me to, go get it checked. And I knew there was something wrong with my bones. That's what I thought. And then I lost, like, a tooth fell out randomly. Yeah, and I'm like, fuck, what? And then about a week later, another tooth fell out. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? Like,
do I need a dentist or a doctor?
Yeah. And I'm like, and I was telling Brooke, I'm convinced it's my bones, because it's all, I used to get like sore, like spine, and I was thinking, fuck, what is this?
But you used to break, and you used to
exactly,
do
and I'm thinking,
shit.
man, I've fallen that many times. I should be worse. You know what I mean? And really, I feel great, like physically, like compared to how I guess I should be, compared to some of my friends, that are injured. But
then you get there and they give you the diagnosis.
Yeah, they were like, like Brooke was saying, no, you do look thin, let's go get something, let's go get it sussed out. And just when I had to have a colonoscopy, and I'm just thinking, it must be bad diet, or, you know what I mean?
Years of skating.
Years of skating, years of smoking, you know what I mean? Just abuse, And that day, as soon as I sort of got up, they're like, nah, it's bowel cancer. You're booked in for surgery in 3 days. It
hits you like straight away. Like,
no
time to...
What? I'm thinking it's just a stomach bug or something. You know what I mean? And so that was hectic. And yeah, it was crazy. Like, and we get home that night, and on A Current Affair, there's an article of like a 34-year-old dude who's been just, like, told he's got like 9 months to live, like him and his wife, young daughter. And like this just shattered me, and it broke Brooke. It's just like, fuck,
It's a cancer doesn't discriminate, man. It can fucking take anybody.
Yeah.
I've lost mates at 35, and so it's a fucking horrible thing. But I guess you just got to, well, I guess you have your surgery, and it all comes up good, I'm presuming.
Yeah. They cut like a third of my bowel out, and But the crazy thing is, I asked the surgeon, I was like, what's it from? Is it a bad diet, smoking, this or that? He's like, it's either most likely a corn chip or a bit of uncooked rice. He goes, do you eat much rice or corn chips? And I love Thai food and Mexican food, man. I'm like...
So that's just been stuck in there for years and years.
He said it might have made a cut, which then created the tumour, which then... turned into the cancer. And
fuck, man, from not
he's like pure bad luck, and I'm like,
jeez.
Yeah, and they checked, I got them to scan my whole body for anything, and they're like, no, you're actually really healthy, and I was quite surprised. They're like, you're almost next to sports person.
Well, you were an athlete.
Kind of, yeah, and I guess, but I thought, man, I've been battered and bruised,
Fuck, man, yeah,
but
I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess what you would tell anyone watching, listening, is that don't sleep on it. Go and get it fucking checked.
Yeah, man, straight away. Yep.
And I think as, without generalising, males probably more than females, we tend to not want to go to the fucking doctor.
Yeah, I'm so blessed. Brooke was there pushing me to do it, and it was also just the noises, and it started with, she'd be laying across from me while we're laying on the couch, and my stomach would grumble, and she's like, oh, is your stomach telling me you're hungry, And then it just got to the point where she's like, nah, your stomach's way noisier than it should be. And then there started being ads on TV about bowel cancer.
So that helped you, prompted you a little bit?
I'd already sort of booked in to go get checked out, but it seemed like overnight bowel cancer was being spoken about every day on, TV.
Well, I think obviously these health issues have been around for a while, but now they're starting to talk about them more, and that people or government agencies are starting to say, well, this is actually this cancer, this is that cancer. When years ago people said they've just got cancer. Yeah. So now we're starting to figure out this is what that is, this is what causes it. So it's getting better, man, but it's still fucking a horrible thing that we.
And if they get it early, they say it's cool, they'll get rid of it and.
It's not a male thing. It's also that's some
anybody.
Female,
yeah.
And then prostate cancer is a big one for men as well, isn't it? Yeah. So dudes have to all go and get checked out. Like,
I know.
I'm 40 now. I'm supposed to do it, and I haven't done it. Last time I went to the GP, he's like, "You've got to do this thing," and I'm like, as guys, we don't want to fucking do that stuff, but. You just got to do it, man.
Yeah, man.
And obviously, that's not the only time where cancer has affected you. Like I lost my dad with cancer, but so my recovery was during all the lockdowns, and same as my surgery was in like a lockdown, and I had my late partner Brooke at the time, like just amazing, dropped everything and just made sure I was all right. Like all of our bills, anything like that, she's like, I'll get everything put into my name first, so they ring me, so you don't get messages about anything. Just the little things to make
make
everything. Your recovery easier.
Yeah. And she did the big things too, like got our house, got our cars while I was sick, like laying on the couch recovering. She sorted all that stuff, and we just moved into a house in St. Albans that we bought, and at that point I was having massive social anxiety issues, just with losing teeth and weight and the stress of lockdown, and all this sort of shit.
Yeah. And
it was like, no, I don't want to do anything, and I just didn't do anything for ages. But Brooke pushed me, she'd be like, no, come on, let's go shopping, let's do this. And I was sort of knocking back a lot of social engagements, and she's like, I think you should go up to Cooktown, where one of my old mates, Desi's living at the moment. She's like, go with Dino, it'll be you three and maybe 50 other people in the town, and go there for a week and a half, just clear your head, and I was sort of she was talking me into the dental surgery I was about to get at the time as well. So had all these steps in place. And when I was up in Cooktown, just got the phone call from her mum saying that she'd passed away. Like, had heart fail, like in the bath at home.
Fuck, man.
And I was just like that fucked me. You know what I mean?
Totally, man.
Like,
how does anyone see that coming? Like,
it exactly. It's. Oh man, it rattled me. Like, and I've dealt with a lot of death. Like I've, had a lot of mates like commit suicide and just family deaths, and I've dealt with it a lot. But man, this was heavy. This is like. This was like the person I chose. You know what I mean? Like,
your whole world's collapsed in one.
Yeah,
phone
man,
call.
and like Brooke, like fuck, man, she wasn't just my partner. She was my best friend. You know what I mean? She was like my nurse. Like,
and just helped you through all this stuff that was the hardest thing you've ever had to go through. And then that rock is all of a sudden, and
it's gone. And then it's like. And it's made this year, like the last year, like she passed away last year in May. But man, it's made this year just a blur, and it's like, oh man, like she's such a blessing. Like meeting her was the best thing ever, because I remember just showing her or playing her something, and she's like, fuck, who's this? This is cool. I go, it's Bigfoot. Check. I go, this is him. She goes, what? I used to go to school with him. Writes to him on Instagram. Hey, Brooke. Yeah, I used to go to school with you. Tell your man I want to do some songs with him.
Awesome.
So we're teed up, we're doing like tracks now, and got it going. And just this year has just held everything back a lot, just because I'm sitting in a house that we bought for us, And it's like, fuck.
It's oh man, look, I don't even know what to say. Like it's like I feel for your loss. It's fucking
thanks,
horrible.
Man.
The only thing that I think the only positive I think anyone can take out of these situations, and when I think about when I've lost my loved ones, is that you got to live your life because they'd want you to do that, and that's the thing. And I think it takes a while. I lost my mum very suddenly when I was 20 years old, and you dwell on things for a while, and you grieve. But then I think I used to always take solace and think, well, she'd want me to fucking live my life, because I don't think anyone really wants their kids or their partner or anything. They want to be remembered, but they want them to live the rest of their life every day that you can.
Exactly, yeah.
Because that's why she was there, helping you through all that shit, man.
That
Because
was
she
her
wanted
whole
you to
thing, man. You know what I mean? Live
life.
it, get out there, get off your ass, and
that's it, man.
And I felt strong with her there. You know what I mean? Like
And look, without getting too soppy, but like all those lessons that she gave you and all that stuff she said, obviously you keep it with you, but I guess you gotta live your life, man, because I think some people, something will happen to them and it's probably a horrible, horrible thing, but you can't let that define you. You've got to fucking enjoy your life, man, because that's what she'd want.
And it was also a couple of months ago, Bias posted something, and it was just what he said. He's just like, we've all had hard times, and we're all going through our own shit, but you just got to be positive, and it was just something like that, and man, it triggered me, and then I was just like, fuck, what am I doing? I was sitting there thinking, Brooke must be pissed at me. Do you know what I mean?
No,
like sitting here.
She'd want you to grieve to the But if you're grieving for 20 years, she'd be like, dude, go out and fucking live your life.
I guess, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know her, but I'm presuming that you've got to do your thing. But grieving is all part of the process.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it's like I'm actually quite proud. Like now that I don't grieve as sadly, I grieve quite happily about her now, and I celebrate everything we did, like.
And then there's
still have the dark moments, but yeah.
Totally. And there's going to be other memories that you can, like you said, with Bigfoot and stuff like that. Like when you start to record those things, you know that she in some way has put that together, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is fucking sick.
Oh, man. She was that behind it. She's like, you've got to start rapping again. And we were laying in bed when Len One from Miles Ago Music sent me a message saying, hey, man, we want to repress your track you did with Ransom on Wax. And so Brooke saw me get up out of bed going, what the fuck, Len One? What, bro, Stoney, you know? Some replied straight back, man, that'd be an honour. And she saw the excitement. And, yeah, I guess it was another burst of light that just, you know, hit me. And so she was behind it 100%.
Yeah.
And even bought a couple of beats for me that I'm sitting on, been writing to, you know, off Insidious. Yeah, she's like, I'll get them now, you know, so you got them and paid for the beats, you know, like.
Amazing, man.
Yeah, so she's 100% behind it. And I do know she's like, all right, get up off your ass now, you know, and go for it.
Look, thanks.
And that's why coming here tonight is a blessing, and I thank you for that.
No, nice, man. I appreciate it. Like, fuck,
big step in my recovery, you know, and
yeah, totally. And I guess it helps. Well, it's not that I've got a huge audience, but people can see what you've been through in one go. You don't have to reach out to everybody and be like, "This is fucking what I've had to be. This is what I've been going through."
Yeah.
It's a way to say, "Here's where I am," and so people will be, man. You'll probably be stoked with everybody who has something to say and to be like, dude, we're here for you and all that sort of stuff.
Oh man, the response I got when Brooke passed away, man, unbelievable. Like, you know, I'm talking constantly having crew coming over, Reese cooking me massive dinners and then just bailing, you know, like people just ringing, messaging, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and look,
people I didn't know, you know,
when something happens like that, I think a lot of people reach out and they just want you to know that they care, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that I think people that haven't been through that don't realize it does mean a lot.
Man, it does.
I still see people now that like wrote me a message 20 years ago, like I said, when my mum passed away, and I still see them. And every time I see them, like I just walk past, say hi, I still kind of remember that.
Yeah,
that
man.
they actually kind of gave a fuck at some stage.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think that anybody who goes through anything like that, you reach out and say, look, you know, that you care. And you're obviously a popular dude. And I think there'll be no shortage of people that'll fucking send you love and stuff when they see this stuff, man. And look, it'll be good, probably therapy for you to just get a little bit of that shit off your chest.
Yeah, man. It is, you know, it's good therapy, me getting out of the house. Yep. You know what I mean?
So
like,
you still got a bit of that social anxiety stuff?
Yeah, big time, man. And,
really?
And that's why, like, tonight is like basically the fuck you social anxiety kind of feeling I get. And it's like, fuck it, I'm doing it, man.
Yeah.
I'm me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter how thin I get, how many teeth I lose. I'm me, you know, Jaff C, the blank dirt bag. And it's like, take it or, you know, don't. Like,
man, look, and
I'm happy with that, you know, like,
you got to be yourself.
Yeah.
Fucking just, man. And look, social anxiety is a funny one. I don't suffer from it too much personally, but I know a lot of people that do, and it seems to happen later in life. And people that are really, obviously you went through some stuff which probably triggered that sort of shit, but a lot of people that I know were very social people. They get to about 30 or 40 and they don't want to fucking do anything.
Yeah, man.
And it's amazing. It becomes crippling for a lot of people.
Yeah, man. Like, man, I've skated, you know, in front of thousands of people. I've had points in the last year where I didn't eat because I didn't want to go to the supermarket, you know, and that's, do you know what I mean? I told a mate that, and he's like, what? He's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you were part of my Footscreen, man. But
no.
It's like, he's like, what the fuck, you know? Yeah, and seeing his reaction is like the thing that makes me look at it and go, fuck, it is that kind of ridiculous in a way, you know? Like,
you have to look at it from the outside looking in.
Yeah. Because I don't know what it is, and you're right, it's crippling. It's just like...
Well, I think obviously you've had a few things that have happened which have triggered it, but I think with people that just get older, it happens to a lot of people. And I think alcohol and drugs play a factor. You know, we always had those friends that would go out and have a zillion drinks. As they get older, they're like, I can't do it, because the next day they're too anxious. They can't do it. Like, it's something that seems to happen later in life. And like any sort of anxiety, man, you just got to tell your head who's boss a little bit.
Exactly, man. Yeah. And
it's a mental thing, like, obviously, but yeah, it's a fucked one, man. Depression, anxiety, it's something that people don't talk about much, but I think they go hand in hand, like, a lot. Yeah.
Well, I was like diagnosed with depression and anxiety, but yeah, like it kind of took me a while, and I'm still going through it, but I'm almost sort of at that point where I use the pain of losing Brooke to my benefit, where it's like just the photos I've got in the house, I just see her and it's like a whip on the ass, it's like, get your shit together, Man,
you're taking a horribly negative situation and making a positive out of it.
I have to, man.
You've got to do it. And then that might sort of open up some other creative avenues and that sort of thing. Look, I can't speak for everybody, but staying at home, no one ever really achieved much from staying at home. We've got to get out there and do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think as we get older, it becomes easier to stay at home. Everyone's in their little comfortable bubble.
Yeah.
But think back in the day, man, if you had this, you'd only stay at home if you had a fucking broken leg.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And something I also just learnt about myself, my comfort zone is being out of my comfort zone. You know what I mean? Like skating big rails, big gaps, vert ramps. It's where I'm at my most comfortable, and I realised I was sitting in a lounge room, thinking, this is my comfort zone, but that's not my comfort zone. Doing shit like this is my comfort zone. I become me again. Yep. And it's just...
Well, I think, like, anybody who stays at home too much, you got too much time to think, you do your own head in. Like, if you're somebody who's been into skating, been into music, been into everything, graph, whatever you want to do, staying at home watching TV is the last thing you want to do, because you want to be out there doing stuff.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's hard. As we all get older, people don't do as much shit. You know what I mean? It might be a weeknight. You're like, hey, what are we doing? And then people are like, nah, I'm chilling with my family. But I guess you just got to find other activities. I guess like juggling, fucking, scratching, making beats.
I've got the turntables set up in the front room, so it's like just cruising there if I want,
Have you thought about rapping over any of your own beats or that sort of thing?
Maybe, yeah. Like I've got a few tracks I'm working on that I should have finished by now, but I've just keep getting distracted mentally, and but yeah, like pretty soon, like I want to keep doing music.
Yeah, and you'll press them on vinyl, or you'll release them online.
Hopefully, yeah. Yep. Like I do want to get them on wax eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, see. Man, I'm sure people are pretty keen to hear that sort of stuff, and like as much as people love seeing you skate, I guess you can't skate. Well, you can skate forever, but it's also good to have some other artistic fucking avenues that you can do. Are you still painting as well?
I haven't in a while, but yeah, I'd love to.
That'd be good therapy too, man.
Yeah.
Like maybe not even aerosol stuff, but just sketching, drawing, all that.
I've sort of reconnected like with one of my like original like train bombing mates, like Alibi. So we're hopefully we'll catch up again. Like I haven't seen him since back in the day, but we've been chatting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he's getting busy, so.
And that's one of the fucking best things about social media is you get to catch up with people, or even if you're not in their lives. Like I look at your content and you look at the likes and you're like, fuck, look at all these heads that are on there. You know what I mean? Like everyone can stay in touch with everybody else, and that's an awesome way. And it makes it easy for people to reconnect like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been great actually.
Obviously, we've just touched on all your personal stuff, but is there anyone you really want to give a shout out besides Brooke, who got you through that stuff, who's been fucking amazing for you and really helped you? Like, is there anyone you really want to say, look, that they've been a king in the last 12 or so months?
Oh man, like basically all my crew, like all the West Side crew have constantly been in touch, and oh man, there's too many names to name, but they all know who they are, and like certain, like I've got mates like who are cool with, man, you can come over anytime and just unload on me, and and that
means a lot.
Oh yeah, man. To me, it's a savior because I've had like nights where I just can't sleep, and I'll call my mate Mick, and I'm like, whoa, and spend an hour venting shit, and he's cool. He'll settle me down, you know.
You know who your real mates are when you ring them like after midnight if they're going to answer or not.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
like, I'm
yeah.
going to answer this phone.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I think I must have been good to a lot of people on the way up because on my way down, man, I saw a lot of people, like with a lot of love for me, and fuck, I love Melbourne for that. They're all true Melbourne City.
It is, man. I think there's a lot of people here that have a lot of, mutual respect for everybody. And
yeah,
like,
totally.
It's even though it's a big city, it's still kind of a small
very
city.
little. Yeah,
it is,
yeah.
Man. Like you got to think, and we've seen it grow a lot, but it still is like everyone knows everybody, especially if you're in the same sort of scene, same sort of industry.
Yeah.
And I think you got plenty of love like that, man.
Yeah.
What's next? What else do you want to do besides the music stuff? What else do you want to do? You want to keep skating? Do you want to start your own brand? Do you want to fucking...
Yeah, nah. I want to keep skating. I'm sort of gearing up to skate vert a bit of, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Padding up and all
Padding
that.
up, yeah.
Yeah. Still got the red helmet?
No, I don't. Yeah. I should try and get one though. Like, yeah, I'm still trying to get knee pads actually. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
if there's anyone that can, flow knee pads.
Flow him, man.
Hook us up, mate.
Hook him up. There's some red knee pads. You're going to get Jaff knee pads as well.
That'd be cool, yeah.
So you want to skate vert? You want
Yeah. I've got a couple of tricks I'm pretty sure, I may as well say it. Like, I'm pretty sure this year on vert, I'll be doing like 540s.
Yeah, nice.
Like, there's a couple of tricks I want to get, like heel flip indies.
Yeah.
But yeah, just... they're two tricks that I want to call
in that Footscray ramp at the what?
Nah. Hopefully, maybe at the Geelong Park.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
But is that which one? Not Warm Ponds. There's one in
the indoor park. It's called the park.
Oh, the park.
Yeah, it's like got a street course.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and like I think 80-foot wide vert ramp. With all different levels.
Yeah, so then you can sort of progress your way up like that. Yeah, sick. Yeah, they've got a cool little skate plaza in Geelong but there's like hardly any quarters or anything there from memory.
Where's that? Down on the North Shore?
Yeah. Oh, but man, there's so many fucking cool parks popping up now. It's awesome to just like, you can go anywhere. I'm going away this weekend with my missus. I don't even know really where we're going, but I'm like going to pick a few parks to stop it on the way because, they're everywhere now. Yeah. Man.
Dude, when we moved into our house, because it's in a little suburb sort of tucked behind St. Albans near Deer Park, and I'd never heard of this little suburb where we are, but I said to Brooke, I was like, I wonder what park is the closest, and I'm thinking Sunshine, which is about 8k away, 9k.
Yeah.
I jump in the car, put I just typed skate parks. 2 came up. One was 400 meters.
What?
The other one's 900 meters.
Amazing.
And I'm like, what? And I'm just yelling from the car, Brooke, fuck. And just took off.
And they're good parks?
Grouse parks.
And they're good little old school park feel. You go there.
Good. Yeah, they're like, like new school, like smooth as silk.
Yeah.
But quite, like 4 foot high quarter pipes and stuff like.
Yeah.
Cruisy stuff.
And the crew there are all cool.
Man, there's hardly any crew there.
Really?
You know what I mean?
There's little kids on scooters and that's about
not
it.
Even, man. Like, I cruise past and, like, most days I'll go there for, like, sometimes 30 seconds, sometimes 2 minutes. Like, it depends on my first trick. Because I'll jump out, try and air over the hip. If I don't make it, it's straight back to the car. But
really,
yeah,
you work like that because you're going to have a shit session if you don't land it.
Yeah, and it's like I've always sort of rolled like that. It's like it's pointless just fucking around with the trick. You may as well just do it and do it properly the first go. There's no point. Oh, just air into it and run out. Why?
You just think you got to commit?
Just do it. Yeah, I know. You got to know. Like, and it's like, man, I know I can do a backside air over a hip.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't stick it first, but what if do you warm up? Do you do any stretches or anything?
No, not really. Like,
literally jump out the car, throw your board down. And
yeah.
So dudes must
be rolling
make or break.
Like, man, some kids, that have been there must think, what the fuck? Who is this old cunt just rocking up?
Trying one trick
tumbling.
And
they're walking back to the car. Yeah.
But when you were doing you're doing some big handrails back in the day, you weren't landing them first shot, were you?
Yeah, a lot of them were.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck, man. So
And man,
you
like-
see now kids battle, not when I say kids, you know, you watch on YouTube, you'll see people battle for weeks. They'll go back week after week after week to get a trick, man.
Yeah. Like a lot of
Crazy.
the tricks that I did were premeditated, and I knew what I was doing where. So I'd sit at home and just visualize it, and I'd get like sweaty palms. My heart rate would rise, you know, and I'd think about just making the trick. And then when it was time to film it or something, I could just blaze, you know, in the van and jump out and do it. And it was like...
You knew you'd already done it. So
mentally it was done. And it was just like, you just got to do it. Just make sure Midsy's filming it right, you know, like...
Yeah, and that's... Back when you were doing some of those things, I'd imagine there's not always a filmer on hand, so you would have done some tricks and then they weren't even fucking documented.
Yeah, oh, heaps, man. Yeah.
Really?
In the early
No
like city
phone
days.
cameras
yeah.
or fucking anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Is there anything that you wish you did get a snap of that you didn't get?
I wish I had footage of like the kickflip. I did a kickflip down the old City Square double set, and that was like a 8 flat 8 maybe, or 8 flat 7. I can't remember, but on the corner of the old...
So if you, and depending on how big the flat is, that's essentially like 20 stairs.
Yeah, the
That's
flat,
fucking
it's
big,
probably
man.
from here to the wall, you
So
know,
that's
quite
huge,
large.
dude.
Like,
and you did that and no one documented it?
Nah, like a couple of, like another dude, Ant Blood, did a kicky down it as well. Yeah.
It's crazy now, and you watch these kids and they're doing all this sort of stuff. They're doing it switch too, and it's like bananas, man.
Yeah.
Like, I know you were a
Crazy.
decent switch skater back in the day, but can you believe some of the stuff that's going on now? Well, I don't even know if these guys have a foot stance. They're doing switch and they're doing natural everything.
It's crazy.
The way that it's progressed, like, obviously there was some amazing skaters around in the 90s, in the 2000s, but can you believe what kids are doing now? Like.
Yeah, it's crazy, and like it's amazing. Just watching Shane O'Neill, what he's done. Cause Melbourne boy, mate,
From the
West
West?
Side boy,
From the
yeah,
West?
man.
Yeah.
He's our little grommet. You know what I mean? He used to follow us around spots and just sit there and watch, you know, and
because he's a quiet dude,
humble dude, beautiful dude, you know, like. And just seeing him take over the world, you know, like...
Amazing.
I love it, you know, and I still bust his balls. I'm like, when you get back, I want you to buy me a car, or, you know, like just... I love him so much, you know. He knows I'm mucking around. And
yeah. Oh, man, yeah.
But, man, it's a good feeling, you know, like...
And staying true to fucking Melbourne. Have you seen how he put that IMAX Melbourne sort of... museum thing there?
Yep.
That's epic, man.
Yeah, he's so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I just want to say about him, back in the day, I remember him at parties, at like Stoyles' party, everyone's getting high and drunk. You know, there's like a bunch of grommets there as well. They're all like drinking and stuff. And like Shane was sitting there watching a skate video, and his mates, you know, his age, were like, have a drink, man, we're at a party. And he's like, nah. I remember that moment, and...
I think he knew what he wanted.
Yeah.
And I think also, look, I don't know him personally, but knowing a little bit of his story, I think he came from a bit of a house where there was a bit that going on.
Yeah.
And that happens with a lot of people, man,
that
they see their parents sort of fuck up and they go, that's not for me. And to be honest, he probably wouldn't be where he is right now if he was drinking with his mates.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, exactly.
He's a focused guy. He's got a fucking house with it. He doesn't even live in his house. He just uses it for a skate park.
I know.
Like, that's fucking making it.
He's so humble, you know, like appreciates everything, and I love him for that. Yeah,
that's amazing. Besides him, who else is like an Aussie skater that you really have a lot of time for that maybe has made it or maybe didn't quite make it? You know what I mean? Besides the Blank Crew, I know you're going to say the Blank Crew, but who's someone who maybe has made it or who maybe didn't quite make that to the level of success they thought they might have?
Like a lot of my crew, like sort of from the West Side, like Anton, like Tom Reese, you know, Shooter, like there's a lot of us, we've all, like they both made it. They, you know, were sponsored back in the day and have and always will kill it, you know, and just, they come correct and they've always kept me honest and, you know, like, you couldn't see there's so many, you know, like I got, learnt from so many people, you know.
Yeah.
Man, it's just
Too much.
Too many names.
Too many to speak of. You're obviously a very proud Melbourneian. You're a very proud West Side dude. Could you see yourself living anywhere else?
Probably not, man. Nah.
Like, not in Melbourne, or not even in anywhere in Australia or anywhere in the world?
Nah, like I did actually. I spent like maybe half a year up in Townsville. Mm-hmm. Like that was years ago, but
there's nowhere to skate up there.
No, yeah.
And you can't swim
Melbourne
in the
West
beach.
is where I'm sort of.
That's it, man.
Yeah, I think so.
Melbourneian for life.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man.
No doubt.
I've touched on most of the things I wanted to speak about and everything I wanted to talk about. If there's anything else you want to say, I'm happy to have a chat. But man,
that I can think of, yeah.
I appreciate.
It's been a great time, man. It's been so good meeting you, and
for sure, man. And I'm super appreciative to yourself for coming here. Obviously, you had a lot to kind of unpack from the last 12 months and, from wherever. But
thanks for listening,
I appreciate it, man, because this thing that I'm trying to do, it's like just people tell their stories, and I'm stoked when people say yes, and you are a dude that I would love to have get on here, and as soon as you wrote back, I was like, fuck yeah. So I appreciate you, man.
No worries. Thanks, likewise.
Thank you. Cheers.
Big time,
All right. Thanks,
means
man.
a lot.
3,000.